Great, thanks, Gina. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see so many familiar names and kind of faces. As Gina mentioned, this event's being hosted by the MCSC Women's Business Center. We're delighted that you could attend. We're a nonprofit organization, and we offer full-service technical assistance and training resources for entrepreneurs of all stages. We focus on the underserved, low to moderate income minority women, although we serve all small businesses and we are inclusive. We have a couple of great workshops coming up. There's one next Wednesday that we have a webinar for about maximizing your efficiency when working from home, something we could all use right now. And then in May, we have a collaborative workshop for women entrepreneurs. I encourage you to take advantage of our Zoom and phone consultations while we all shelter in place. You can find out everything that we offer and sign up for classes by going to our website, mcsc.org. I hope you enjoy Gina's presentation. She's a dynamic and engaging speaker. Enjoy, everyone.
Well, thank you very much, Barbara. I forgot to go through the rest of the slides. So the team is Chuck Geel and Barbara Burgess, and I don't know if I said that right. Did I say it, Burgess?
Close enough.
Okay. And the website for the organization is mcscorp.org. And their mission is dedicated to enhancing opportunities for potential entrepreneurs, small business owners to become self-sustaining, successful contributors to their communities with special assistance for women, low-income minority, veterans, and nonprofit businesses in San Luis Obispo, Kern, and Monterey counties. They've made a big impact in my life since I've been here. I found them when I first moved here about 10 years ago, and it's been a nice journey working with them for the past 10 years. They do have lots of resources, like Barbara was saying, free consulting, workshops. Right now we're in the midst of, we're on like week 4 of Explore, Design, and Launch, which is their entrepreneurial training course taught by Liz Christofferson. So if you're interested in taking the next course, that will be available in the summer. All right, so thank you very much. I had to add the thank you one. Okay, and I'm gonna just do a test. Does everybody see my full screen, or do they see my full computer? Barbara, what do you see?
I'm seeing your slide.
Okay. You're seeing the slide.
I'm seeing your small screen.
You're seeing the small screen. I just want to make sure that there's no other attendees waiting. Let's see. Let's see. All right, I think we're good because I don't see anybody up there. All right, so let me do my full screen. All righty, so thank you so much for coming today, everybody. I realize all the people who are in this webinar are very interested in building a business and working on that business and working on the brand of their business. And now that you have the time, this is like the perfect opportunity to do this. So thank you again for joining us. I did go through the housekeeping. If you have any questions, please feel free to write it in the chat box. Barbara will let me know, but I'm gonna probably take a break and ask for questions in sort of the middle of it, and then we'll do some questions at the very end. And here we go. So today it's my intention to give you a better understanding on how to begin strategizing your brand so that you can position yourself to your ideal customer, so that you can build a tribe. Everybody's using the word tribe today, and I love that, because when you do build tribe, you build brand loyalty, and you build people who become the ambassadors to your business that help you grow your business. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to connect you with that tribe so that you can have a following of fantastic people who will help you build your business. So a little bit about me. My name is Gina Sonardo. My business is Janichi Studios Photography. I'm a portrait photographer, but I haven't always been a portrait photographer. I actually got my degree in fine art photography in the 90s. Yes, I'm old. And when I was going to school, I was actually working. You know, I have some participants. I'm gonna hold on. sorry, I can't see my mouse. Oh goodness, I apologize. There we go. Sorry about that. All right, back to the beginning. Okay, so about me. So in college, I was going to, I was actually working for a reprographic center, and I was working in graphics, doing copies, starting forms, starting flyers and layout and design. And it was really, really interesting because I was learning back then the importance of telling a story and how to actually communicate that story, not just through photography, but through words and through layout and design. So I've always sort of been involved in this this background. And after college, I actually managed a photo studio.
Soda, please.
So does anybody have their microphone on? Please mute yourself.
If I can get a glass of some soda. Okay. No matter.
Excuse me, I'm just going to go ahead and mute everybody.
Only person I'm hearing is you,
Okay, so all right, so anyway, in college, so after college, I was working for a photo studio, and I did all of their branding. I was doing all of their ad work as well as managing photographers and makeup artists, and I did that for about 10 years. And then eventually ended up working for the Air Force Research Lab, where I was in charge of all of their graphics, their media center. I was doing photography, I was doing graphics and telling stories and presentations and training manuals and all that kind of stuff. So I've always had this background of brand development and graphics, as well as, and marketing, as well as photography. And so I kind of merged those two together when I started my business. It just sort of happened. And so what I specialize in is personal branding photography, where I actually define the person's brand and then showcase them through photographs that really share the essence of what their personal brand means. But it all relates back to business too, because when I did more design work, I was doing the same process. And then it sort of clicked about 6 years ago that I could do the same process with people as well. So what is branding? So what is a brand image is the first thing. So a brand image is basically the impression of a company, product, or person, oops, held by real or potential customers. So, so a brand is so much more than just an image, because so much happens before it actually becomes a brand. So for example, if you were to look at this image right here, you would see 3 circles, but we all know what this is. We all know that this is something that has meaning to us from all the history we've had. Now it depends on the person. It depends on how you grew up with this symbol right here. It could mean magical. It could mean playful. It could mean dreams coming true, whatever that is. And you know, even your age is going to have a different impression of this simple icon, which is 3 circles. But we all know it's Disney. If I put Disney up there, you would have the same impression of that, but this is Mickey Mouse. So we kind of know that there's so much more that happened before the 3 symbols became a brand itself. This 3 circles became a brand itself. So the same happens when you see a face. When you see a face, you have an impression of that person's face. You know who this person is. You know what she represents, but you also know what it took for her to get to this point. You know, your brand is constantly evolving. So all the things that has happened in the past, has basically brought her to what she is now. Now she's not just a personal brand, she also has an empire. She has a corporation. And this might have slight different meaning than her face, but it's still one and the same, even though this is the symbol and this is the face. So think about what happened before then. Okay, so there's all the stories, there's controversy even sometimes, but there's also, you know, her values that she's shared, her messages, her show, obviously her TV show, the stories she tells, all of that has pretty much brought you to this impression. Okay, so all right, so when you define your brand, you're strategically positioning yourself towards a specific audience. So think about this. If you have, let's talk in general about our county. So we have 250 wineries in SLO County. And the ones who will succeed the most are the ones that differentiate themselves from other wineries by catering the experience they give their customers to the customers they actually want to have. So if we were to pick two different wineries, let's say, for example, Tobin James versus Edna Valley. You have two wineries, they have really great wines. I know some people are probably very particular about wine. I'm not particular about wine. I actually love all kinds of wine. But Tobin James is like the party, they like fun, they're playful, they have lots and lots of events. So they cater to the type of personalities that want those kinds of experiences. Where Edna Valley is a little bit more about the Central Coast vibe, wine tastings and food pairings, you know, so it's a little bit more sophisticated. It has a different vibe, a different kind of tourism. So they're totally different personalities, and yet it's the same industry. I'm going to go into much more detail about this in a bit, but want to tell you a little bit about the disconnect. So what happens when you don't actually have a really well-defined brand? Why is it so important? Because, well, basically, you're not giving enough information. You're not giving enough information to your customers to really get the personality and the vibe and the essence of what your business stands for. So maybe you've just put a website up and it's just kind of bare, you don't have a logo up yet, it's just in the process of being developing, and that's fine. But if people were to go to it right now, they're really not getting enough of who you are. It also could be that some of the information on your website or your presence, your online presence, is just inaccurate or unclear. And this doesn't just reflect visually. This also could be about how you present yourself, because you're still kind of figuring out your business. If you're new, especially if you've been around for a while, you really know how to nail down what your service is and who your customer is. This is what we're hoping, but this is where it's so important to really define this in advance, because then you're going to be able to really share your whole values through your business entity, whether it's you in person or online. Okay. So I'm digressing on that a little bit. So inaccurate or unclear could also mean that you don't have enough information on your website, like I said, or that maybe you've changed your services, or maybe you're putting imagery on there that doesn't really reflect what your company is about. For example, have you ever gone to somebody's website and let's say their financial, I'm not picking anybody specifically, financial planner versus a, or not versus, a financial planner with imagery that's kind of like a flowery or beachy. It doesn't really reflect what it is they do. And so you might feel like it's unclear. You might go to their website and think, well, maybe they're gardeners or something like that. So using the Central Coast is a really great way to sort of add sort of an essence of the brand locally, but it doesn't say anything about what it is you actually do. Another one is that people use too many words, not enough imagery. People want to understand what it is you're saying by having illustrations on the text. It helps a lot. So because most of the time, 81% of educated people skim on a website or even in an email instead of reading it actually fully. So if you break it up with really good imagery, then it's not only going to be easier to remember, but it's also going to be more interesting visually, and it's going to have a better flow. Messy, outdated content or graphics, if you have a website and you haven't updated it for a while, it's critical to keep it updated and fresh. Sometimes your services change, and if you have photographs that are really poor quality or not professional, it just might not look high end, or people are going to assume that you just don't care. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more in a minute. So it's really important. Or even bad customer service. Bad customer service is huge when you're talking about developing a brand, because you want people to have the right experience right from the very beginning. And the very beginning starts with maybe your website or social media, or meeting them in person in a social networking group, but it also follows through to the very end, which could be the final receipt, and even after that, you know, what's happening, what you're doing after that. So a lot of this too is, and I went to the same one, I'm sorry, let's go back to this. So what ends up happening here is that you're giving people the impression that you really just don't care about your business. And what you want is, you want people to know that you love being in your business. They want to do business with people who are passionate about what they do and care about your needs. So if you're not showing them that you care about their experience and you want to serve them, then that's going to reflect poorly. And it doesn't really help when you want to get additional clients, because most people are referral businesses, and we really rely on that. So you end up eroding trust from the beginning, and then you end up really working with the wrong types of clients. All right, and the reason why this is so important too is because it takes 50 milliseconds to form a first impression. So you really want to make that impression the second that they come to you and see you and are presented by you. So who are your dream customers? I'm not going to go into too much detail about this, because this is not about who your customer is. If you're working on your business, this is something that you're working on right now. But this is super critical to define, because, well, first of all, if you don't know who your customer is and you just say the whole world is, you can't serve everybody. Everybody has different needs. And some people, even if it's the same service, people are going to resonate with different people. And you want to be unique enough so that you grab those people who get you. Have you ever been to a networking event or some event where you're just talking to somebody about your business and they get you right away, and you have this great conversation, and then instantly they become your client and they're the perfect person that you like to work with? Okay, that's your dream customer. So what you really need to do is not just define all of the demographics and their age, but you really want to define the psychographics. You know, what gets them emotionally charged. How are you their savior? How do you give them joy or relief? Like, where do they find out what they like, their interests? Where do they hang out? Is it on weekends or online? It doesn't matter. In person, what are their favorite social media networks? Where are they hanging out online? All that kind of stuff. Even interest to music. I mean, it all depends on your business. But so really, really define this. And understand that that's where you want to be, is where that person is, that ideal customer. So what is a brand essence? So your brand essence are unique characteristics that define a brand, that are non-physical attributes that separates your brand from your competitors. So ultimately, this is your personality. It's the persona of the brand itself. So when you create that personality, that persona, then it's going to have its own sort of identity, and then all the competitors around you are going to have a different identity. Okay, so here's a great example right here. So we have this brand and we have this brand, and so as you can see, they're both the same company. right? Now, if you had no idea who these companies were, you'd see that, you know, 4 squares colored in an apple. But we know what they mean, and they're very different personalities. And I loved the advertising they did in the 2000s when you had this sort of, you know, kind of nerdy executive guy on his PC, and you had the cool hip artisan guy on the Mac. I loved those commercials, and yet during the 2000s, I was all PC. Now I'm Mac, but so it's just cool how I loved the way they defined that personality, but that's really what makes the essence. So each one of these has a total persona attributed to this symbol. Okay, so I'm going to give you a really good example of what a no brand website would look like. So going back to not defining anything. So this person got her website up, and you know, boom, she has a website. And you know what, if you're in this stage, congratulations. This is like the hugest step to get things started, to get things up there so that you can start sending people to information and showing that you're a credible business and you have a website. But now she needs to dress it up a little bit. She needs to create a personality here. And she's giving a little bit of the wrong message because you know, she has this ocean that really doesn't have anything to do with yoga. If it was a person doing yoga on the beach, that would be a little bit different. But so she's not telling a grand story here. So in comparison, I found this website. So here's the same kind of business offering restorative yoga, but it's much more branded. There's a feeling here. There's a vibe here. There's offers here. She's giving people information about what restorative yoga is, and just instead of asking and radiating the questions that you're thinking people are having problems with. And a lot of people do that in the beginning, and that's kind of how you develop the content. But really what you want to do is right off the bat give you the value proposition of what it is that you're offering. So just remember, your brand essence becomes the identity mark, or rather the feeling you get when you hear or think about the brand. So once you get really, really going, people will know that Namaste is a company that offers restorative yoga, and it just becomes embedded in their mind, just like Microsoft and Apple. Okay, so all righty, moving on. And then I know we have Patty on the line. Sorry, Patty, for use the before and after, but she gave me the permission. So I love Pat. I actually really like this picture of her. I think it's a really cute picture, but it's a snapshot, and it's clearly taken probably on a phone. So it's kind of yellowy because of the conference room where she was probably in had all these fluorescent lights around here. So it's not super flattering in that sense as far as color. Background's boring. She's also wearing a t-shirt that's got another brand on it, which is not hers. And so there's a difference when you're presenting yourself with a snapshot than when you're presenting yourself with a professional portrait, just in a personal brand. It definitely shows that she's more serious about her business, and she's really working at telling the right message. So yay to that, because I like my animations. Okay. So I'm going to show you one more brand essence, or a couple more brand essences. This is going to be the essence of a business, and this is a local business called Eastwell Being & Tea. If you have not been there, you should check it out. So Eastwell Being & Tea is owned by Jill Stonemeyer, and it's right off of Monterey. It's a really nice little tea shop as well as spa. So actually, she's kind of in the process of slightly rebranding. It's no longer really Eastwell Being & Tea, it's Eastwell Being & Spa. But when I took these pictures, we were trying to tell, and I worked with her several times to tell the whole story of her brand and her business. And so on that, she's taken a lot of thought as to what the brand stood for before she even started integrating and building the business. From not only just the mission statement and probably what the purpose of her business is and what the vision is and where she wants to take the business, but also with her values and with her characteristics and the vibe that she wants to present. And I'm not sure if there's still people waiting. Let me just, I keep getting a little ping that maybe people are waiting. Okay. Sorry about that. I was just checking, just checking. Okay, so back to the beginning.
Jean
So,
and Melody has a question if you wanted to answer
sure.
that.
Yes, please.
She wrote it in the
I'm
chat.
so sorry because I was typing and trying to figure out how to send the damn thing that it's totally jumbled. So my question was, so for instance, in my name Macronazi, I have the features of an app, the top of an apple over the O in Macronazi.
Mhm.
So in short, a brand is that I've never even actually noticed that before because I had somebody for my website and she sort of asked me questions and did these things based on what I was looking for. So I'm noticing now this top of an apple over the O, which she obviously did for food reasons. And that would then be my brand, correct? That feature, or is it the name in whole with the brand on it? I mean,
The name and whole, the macro Nazi is your brand. I mean, it's really
that name in itself.
it's the name. It's not just the name, it's the image that you give it, but it's you. You're technically the brand. I mean, you have a business entity, but the brand is about working with you. And so you're really the one that's driving the brand by how you work with your customers. And you know your customers really well because I do know Melody. You know. So and the apple is great because it does show that macro Nazi refers to eating, you know, like counting your macros to lose weight. But the logo too will probably become more instilled in people's mind once the product is displayed. Because
okay, that you've answered my question there. Yeah,
yeah.
because I was thinking, okay, so for instance, you've got Oprah with this O, but if you saw an O with an apple top on it, you definitely wouldn't think macronazi, right? I mean, I wouldn't think you would. That doesn't. I don't
No,
think it really
probably
reflects.
not yet. I mean, only because I'm not sure, because it needs to be seen over and over again. But, you know, so right now, like, I know who you are and what your brand stands more from the name than the
Right, I agree. Okay.
logo. So the logo is going to get stronger and more recognizable once you have a product out there, which like when you come up with an app and so forth, and that app then shows the logo over and over again. And it also depends on how you get that logo out there.
I see what you're saying.
But you know, right now, most of the time you meet in person. And if you're handing out business cards with it, it just depends on, it's all repetition. And that's really kind of what this is showing right here, because she's integrated her whole brand vibe, her personality throughout the entire, everywhere. So it's not just on the wall. And this was all figured out before it even began, the color scheme and everything. And from the logo, because the logo of this, it's kind of lotusy, but it's really more like tea leaves expanding in a cup. But I love the color because it's super soft and impression, like it was a paper stamp. But yet her logo itself is super clean and modern, you know, and slick. So it's sort of a modern take on on all natural and wellness. And then I took the whole portfolio of really what that essence is, and all the colors are just so consistent. The brand is everywhere. It's on the t-shirts, it's on. So this is really where you want to get, if you want the mark to be the identifier, you really need to get it out there more. And right now it's mostly just your name.
And I've changed it actually several times, just twice, but I did change it again this last time. And I do like it, but I see where you're saying you could promote it more and get your name out there by that. Okay, I'm going to mute now.
Okay, thank you for asking though. Because that's a lot on people's mind. I mean, most of the time when you say what is a brand, people think it's really the logo, but it's not. It's the whole impression that you get from it. So if like for Melody, I visualize her brand more on her name than I do the logo, because I've seen her more than I've seen the logo. Anyway, so moving on, we have, you know, and everything tells the story in the brand itself, from all the people behind the brand, the products that you offer, the staff, the massage, all the different massages. I mean, this is such a cool place. If you haven't been there, every single room has a different theme, and not every room, but most rooms have bathtubs. So you can do a soak and then a massage, or a massage and then a soak. And they have all kinds of modalities that they offer, from facials to cupping to couples massages, and then we have the staff, and so with the brand behind them, and then back to the owner. And so she's a really, so just keep in mind too, and I'm not going to go into a lot of details of the difference between a personal brand and a business brand, but it's pretty close. It's just that when you decide to brand a person, the identifier becomes the person. When you decide to brand a company, you're still a brand. When you're defining up a company, and an insignia, but again, you're the person behind it. You're the spokesperson for your business, so you're also a brand. So just keep that in mind. All right, and all of that is then interpreted with this image, this symbol. Okay, so if you go there and you get all, and you understand, and you're on their social media and you hear their stories and all the services they offer, eventually this insignia becomes the impression of what it all means. So let's show you now specifically a personal brand. And this is a personal brand that's in the process of a development. We did her portraits first. I defined her brand. We did her portraits. And she's in the process of actually developing the actual logo. So we came up with very, very distinctive characteristics and values that represent her brand, from knowledgeable to insightful to open to confidence to empathic to strategy to passion, focus, competition. So these were our key words. And when we took those pictures, she's confident, she's got high energy, she's powerful. I mean, she's strategic, she's compassionate, she's intuitive, and she's super confident. She's kind of a badass. Sorry if I score, but I mean, so she really knew, she knows what her goal was and where she's in the direction she's going. And so the brand was, we started to now think about, once you have, I'm going to go back. Oops. Oh, darn. Sorry. I went too far. So once you have all of these keywords, all these keywords, now you can really start thinking about what that looks like, right? So what that looks like is, what does passion look like? Is it red? Is it color? Is it red? Is it coral? Is insightful? Is it yellow? And you can start putting it together as far as like, what would the correct color palette be? What would the correct font be? And of course, this also relates to how your customer is going to be thinking about you and who your customer is, who your ideal customer is, as well as the story you're going to tell and the offering that you're going to have for them. So this is basically how it begins. So you really, really need to have this clear before you even start developing the brand itself. All right. Moving on. So now we're going to jump into developing a brand story and developing your narrative. In a moment, though, I will be talking about how to define this essence in our brand and how to define a persona for it when I talk about brand strategy. So we're going to get to that in just a minute. But the narrative is also very, very, very important. So one of the things people do is they put on their website a list of services that they offer and questions like, are you struggling with, are you having problems with, but they're not speaking directly to the customer, okay? Directly to the customer is when your narrative, your content is talking to that specific person you want to work with. Again, so imagine that you're at that networking event, you start talking you're on the subject of who you are and what you offer, and they get really excited and they're really connected to you. You have a service that they really need and that they really want. That's your ideal customer. You should be talking to everybody like that. And then those people are going to either like you or not, and that's okay. You're going to want the ones that you like. So basically everything you say to your perfect client should be a value point or proposition. When you know exactly what your clients want, you should speak to everyone as if they're your dream client, like I said. And you have the choice, and they have that choice of buying into it or not. So a really good example, and I'm going to read this, I'm not going to show you anything, is and this is not just in directly, but also in all your content. Your content should speak to your clients. So I'm going to read this off. This is why there's nothing quite like iPhone. Every iPhone we've made, and we mean every single one, was built on the same belief that a phone should be more than a collection of features, that above all, a phone should be absolutely simple, beautiful, and magical to use. I love their writing, it's fabulous. And even if you don't have an iPhone, it's okay. And here's the second part of it. Security is serious. It's why we it's why we invented Touch ID, a painstakingly engineered sensor that lets you unlock your phone with just your fingerprint. Okay, this might have been a couple of years ago because now I think it's all face recognition, but you get the idea. So they're talking directly to the customer and what they know the customers want. And security is a big part of that. And having a simple, clean, magical phone is what people are looking for. So that gives you a really good idea of how you can start thinking about what it is you're offering is going to be projected to your customer, how you talk to them directly. The other thing you want to do is you really want to connect to them on an emotional level. So you're going to use a lot of good emotional words to actually convince them. And if you've already done the defining of what your characteristics are and your values, all your value words could be part of those emotional words. But like they were saying that they had mentioned, that Apple, you know, it's basically the beautiful, magical, simple, all those great emotional words that connect you to what it is they want. Okay, the other one is to tell your why, and we spoke a little bit about this in class, but for those of you who are not in class, you'll have to take the next class to get this. But one of my favorite speakers is Simon Sinek, and he talks about really defining your why, because when people go to your website, when they want to do business with you, they're going to want to know who you are and where you came from and why you're doing what you do. Okay, so what Simon Sinek says is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So it's really important to really have that story. And we all have different paths and we have different pasts. So anything that you did in the past can still pull forward into a new business concept. You know, I used to be, so not me specifically, but let's say I have a friend who is, she's a wellness coach right now, but she used to be a chiropractor specifically. And so she'd always constantly is saying, well, when I was a chiropractor, I did this. And so they want to know your history and what you're all about. So pull that into your story. That's really, really important because people want to know who you are. And then the important thing is when you do that, you're being authentic. So branding is a journey, and being in business actually is a journey, not just branding in general, but maybe that's a part of the whole process. Being in business is a journey, and it's a journey of self-exploration. It's not just about having a business. It's really about who you are and being authentic. People are going to know, and they're going to know when you're not being authentic. And you want to tell people your uniqueness because you're brilliant. Everybody is brilliant. Everybody who is going for this venture is brilliant. The other thing is to use really good imagery to narrate your message. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a photographer. I'm saying this because, again, like I mentioned earlier, you want to narrate those stories as they go along. It makes it interesting, and it doesn't have to just be photography. It could be any kind of imagery, anything that is going to put two and two together with that's why icons are so popular nowadays. So it just makes the connection, and it makes people remember it better. So so let me see. So visuals in general are like processed 60,000 times faster than text. So most of the time when people scan, they're probably going to see the images first and then read according to what the image is telling you about. So make sure that it really goes hand in hand with what it is your story is. But it also really connects them emotionally. That's part of the emotional connection. So the right image can really, really make the message itself more impactful. Okay, so be the queen of your destiny. You can't do that playing small. Well, that sounds great, but it's not as dynamic as this version. So be the queen of your destiny. You can't do that playing small. So here's a really good example of how the emotion can come into it and really tell the story a little bit more about the power of the message. Okay, so people remember 10% of what they hear, 20% of what they read, and 80% of what they see. All right, now we're going to move on to brand strategy, and then we're going to wrap it up. Does anybody have any questions so far from this point? Okay, so I am moving on. So basically, creating the story of you, creating the story you deliver, excuse me, with the right message and feeling is what the strategy is, okay? So it's all about the feeling you're giving. That's pretty much the story, but you have to know what your customers want to feel first. So that's kind of the whole point to this. So make sure you define that customer really, really well. And then to know these three things pretty well. You want to know where you're going in the future and what your goals are. Like define it very clearly, whether you want to, what you're going to be doing a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and the bigger picture, because then your brand can really sort of reflect what that vision is now, which is going to force you to actually get there from a psychological standpoint, but also it's going to allow your customers to see that grandness, that vision. And then what makes you unique? Okay, so choose your dominant characteristics. Don't go too scattered. Don't have so many characteristics that it's confusing. You really want to refine it to like three dominant characteristics that you want the persona to exude, okay? And it has to be important to, again, who your customer is, where you want to go, and what you're offering. And then what do you value the most? You want to decide and choose, again, your top values that are going to reflect how you're going to resonate with your customer, but also how you're going to give them service, how you're going to give service to them. Okay, so the strategy lies in knowing how you want to make your customers feel, and this is how you begin it. This is how you start creating the map. Okay, so also understanding it is what you want to promise to deliver. So, you know, by this point, you're also going to have your mission statement, your value statements. So you're defining all of that and your characteristics that you want, that you know you want to convey, and the goals and how far you want to take this and where you want to go. And then what it is you promise to deliver. So a clear statement of purpose. It is a value of experience, a value or experience a company's customers can expect to receive every single time they interact with that company. Okay, so here's a couple of examples. So more fashion choices that are good for people, the planet, and your wallet. That's H&M. Walmart is save money, live better. And then Nike is, well, their tagline is just do it. But their mission or their value statement is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And I think the asterisk means that as long as you have a body, you also are an athlete. So keep in mind that your value statement doesn't have to be interjected into your tagline. It can still be a separate thing like Nike did. But it all depends. This is where you can get really creative with it. So I'm going to real quickly go through what a brilliant brand looks like. And that is a clearly defined brand, a brand that shows you're serious about business, a brand that shows you, you know, when you have it out there, it shows that you're credible. It showcases your area of expertise. It shows that you're trustworthy, and it gives you a higher perceived value because it's showing yourself as somebody who's really serious about business. It sets you apart from your competition. It allows you to be yourself, which is really great because it makes it easier when we can talk about ourselves, and it emotionally connects you to the audience itself. It allows you to position yourself towards a target audience. And I want to just mention too that this is a realtor. And yes, he looks like a food critic at the moment. We took a lot of pictures of him, you know, standing with his for sale sign, working at his desk, looking at schematics from how all kinds of stuff. But he uses his pictures in his social media all the time, which really strengthens his personal brand as a realtor. But he's also selling here the experience of living in the Central Coast, because those are the kinds of clients he wants to draw to the area. Of course, things are changing now, and I kind of go into that a little bit. But also, really good brand will attract new opportunities to you, because when you look the part that you want to get to that point, when it's all comes together, then more people are going to reach out to you and say, hey, I was wondering if you wanted to help me with this thing, or you just have no idea where it's going to come from. And why? Because your brand will tell a great story, and people love that. And so on that note, I'll give you my tagline, which is, your charm is the real you and your portrait proves it. Okay, so anyway, so there you have it, people. Anybody have any questions? Real quickly, I'll just say, if you are looking to get some more insight on your brand, you can email me. I offer a free consultation. I can actually just do it over the phone, and we can kind of talk a little bit about it. Or you can book a consultation through the Women's Business Center, and just talk to Barbara, and I'll get with you and we can talk about that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and now you can see me. Does anybody have any other questions? I'm sorry, when I had my full screen, I wasn't able to see the chat. So if anybody of you have any questions, let's talk about that. Does anybody have anything? I see Melody right in front of me with the pen. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I do. Is there any paperwork that you can get access to with your presentation, or?
Well, what I'm going to actually recorded this video, so I'm going to be publishing it on the MCSC YouTube page.
Okay.
And we can get you a link to that next week, and then you guys can always access that again. Otherwise, just give me a call and I can send you specific slides if you want to. The photos are really hard to send because it's not.
Right, no.
Any other questions? So let me write down my email address again.
Gina?
Yes.
It's Kim here. I just wanted to say thank you so much. This was so awesome.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it and got a lot out of it.
Yes, I did too.
As you can see, I'm having a hot flash.
Gina, can I say a few words?
Sure.
I just wanted to say thank you. This is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure everyone else did too. I'm going to be sending everyone an email with an evaluation attached. So if you guys could fill that out and send it back, it really helps us, and it helps Gina specifically learn how we can serve you better and what worked for you and what didn't work for you. So constructive criticism is always appreciated. And of course, loved it. That works too. So whatever you want to say, we're happy to hear it.
Thank you so much, Barbara. I really appreciate that. And I am sorry about the technical glitches. This is really technically only my third webinar that I'm actually running. And just so you know, if you want to view the chat that was sent, you can actually click on those little 3 dots in the right-hand corner of the chat box. And if you click it, you can save the chat, and that will allow you to review it again if anybody has any questions, or if you want my email address, or if anything else wants to post anything on there right now.
Also, Gina, I'd like to say there are 2 people who I don't have email addresses for. So if you want to send an evaluation, just drop me an email at barbara@mcscorp.org.
If you want to even type that in there in the chat box, and everybody will have access to that as well. Does anybody have any other questions?
Gina, just out of curiosity, so so like if I wanted to hire you to maybe do something for my webpage, because I hate my picture that's up there. I mean, I like it, it works, you know, but I look at what you're showing and wow, it's very professional.
Thank you.
What do you charge to do that? Or is that an awkward question to
Well,
answer?
I mean, it depends on what it is you're looking for. I have a variety of sessions and, you know, like the full branding package starts with me actually defining what your brand means, but you already actually have a brand out there. So it just depends on what it is you need. So just get with me. We'll have a discussion. We'll talk about it. It could be as simple as a new headshot. It could be as simple as or it can be a beach shot. You know, I didn't think you should be on the beach, honey. She's like, no.
Well, I love the beach, but.
All right, well, we'll talk. We'll definitely talk. Okay, so Barbara has her email down on the bottom there. Any other questions? I saw somebody, I think Anthony popped up for a moment video-wise. Anybody else want to make any comments or? All right, then. We're going to go ahead and close this meeting. I really appreciate you all being here, focusing on your business, trying to stay busy with all that's the craziness that's going out there right now. And again, even if you need help just with getting ideas and brainstorming, you know, let me know because I love to help and I'm a brainstorm kind of person. So. All right.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day and a great weekend.
You too.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.